Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Anette Olzon Strong, out September 10th on Frontiers Music. This album has 11 tracks, 52 minutes in length, and this is her second full-length studio album. She's the current singer of The Dark Element, formerly of Nightwish. Now, as far as the way this album is designed, I really like what they did here. This is a record that has some similarities permeating throughout all 11 tracks. So the key element in terms of putting it together is how can we separate these similarities in order for the album to sound fresh at every single turn. I think they did a wonderful job with that. This is a record that you feel like it changes, that it morphs from song to song. And while you're going to find tracks that sound similar to one another, they're so far apart that you almost forgot how one came across when you get into the second one. So the way this album is put together, the structure that it has, really adds to the playability. It really adds to the fact that this is an album that really keeps the listener engaged from the first all the way to the last song. Also, having a ballad in the middle of the record works really well. It breaks the album into two halves, two equal halves. This is an album that, while sounding slightly different from song to song, when you look at these two sides, these two halves, it's really balanced as far as the quality is concerned. It's not one of those records that starts strong and starts to lose speed, lose quality, and by the time you reach the end of the record, you're kind of done with it because the best songs really came at the top. This record really has the same amount of strength at the beginning as it does at the end. It's really balanced from that perspective. You really don't lose anything as you progress through it. This allows the album to be more robust, to be a little bit more cohesive through and through. Once you get into the soundscape, this is an interesting part of the album because the first time that I listened to the record, I said to myself, wow, this really sounds like a Magnus Carlsen style record when it comes to the soundscape. It had his fingerprint, if you will. Then I went and I checked the press release, and who's behind the sound on this album? Magnus Carlsen. I was really happy to see this partnership because he really understands the singers well, and he constructs songs that enhances the qualities of the singers, that puts them on a pedestal and really allows them to be the drivers of the experience. The question when it comes to the soundscape of this record is he going to be able to take a step to the side and really allow somebody else to be the driver, not necessarily him being the one controlling the experience? I felt like he did that, and he compromised on that side. So when you look at the overall sound, the sound is robust, it's heavy, it's bombastic, it has tempo, it has fluidity, it's energetic, it's cinematic. Perhaps that's the best word to describe everything that you're going to experience on this record, because there's different momentums, but every single song always feels big, always feels powerful. He comes in with the guitar solos, and that is perhaps the only time on this record that he really allows himself a little bit of that spotlight. Every other time that he's on this album, every other thing that he's creating as far as the sound goes on this album is really geared towards Anette and what she's going to do with her voice. The solos, I felt, that was his time to shine, and that was his time to perhaps get a little bit of his wings stretched out, expand a little bit on what he can do, and give perhaps a little bit of a fingerprint, a stronger fingerprint in terms of what he does and what he knows how to do best. So I like this approach. I like this two sides to one coin, being a little bit more controlled and having a little bit more of a powerful soundscape that encompasses everything, but still puts Anette as the forerunner, as the one that's really leading the charges, and then perhaps spreading himself a little bit bigger on the solos in order for him to really give that extra touch, that extra Magnus Carlsen touch to the overall sound experience that the listeners will get with this record. On the vocal side, Anette is phenomenal. She has an incredible voice. This record is really built for her, is really built for her range, and she completely feels comfortable in it. You feel in every single song that she's controlling what's happening with her voice, that she's controlling the tempo, that she's controlling the energy, that she's bringing the lyrics into the forefront, she's bringing them back, bringing different emotions with the lyrical content on this record, and therefore impacting the songs differently with her delivery and the emotion that comes from it. The only thing that I wasn't a huge fan on this record as far as vocals are concerned are Johann's vocals on it, the harsh vocals. I don't mind it as perhaps a backing vocal here and there in the verses, a little bit in a chorus here. Perhaps using a song as a duet between the two would have worked really well. I didn't feel like there was one song that really came into the forefront. that became really noticeable, that we're having a duet on a single track. And I think that perhaps that's a missed opportunity. I would have liked to see something along those lines become a little bit better defined throughout the record. It would have been a song that would break the mold of everything that would have came before and everything that comes after. Outside of that, I didn't feel like the harsh vocals really added much. This is her album. She has an incredible voice. The harsh vocals could have helped and did help in some parts, in some songs, as backing vocals in order to create volume, in order to create thickness, in order to create layers. But just adding harsh vocals here and there, it felt at times very disconnected. Perhaps the best way of connecting it was using it throughout the album, which is exactly what they did. But when you're listening to a song here and a song there, it doesn't really resonate. It doesn't feel connected at all. You'll have to listen to the album from beginning to end in order to see the harsh vocals, the role that they play, feel in more as a piece of the puzzle and not necessarily something that's just there in order to add some flavor. Overall, I really enjoy this album. I think it's a really well-constructed record. When you look at the soundscape, the cinematic approach that it has, how big it sounds, how well-crafted, how well-delivered it is, allowing Anette to really be on that pedestal, like I said, and control the experience, control everything that is going on. So overall, this is a very well-crafted album, an album that has the right sound for the right singer, or the right singer for the right sound. The combination is just absolutely perfect. And outside of that, those harsh vocals that I wasn't a huge fan of, overall this is a very strong album, an album that has a lot of impact, that has a lot of force, that sounds very modern, but at the same time it still has that old school, more classic heavy metal DNA into it. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Bye Bye Bye. This is the opening track. Great tempo, a track that has a lot of electricity in the verses, and then the chorus is where that electricity explodes and the track becomes a little bit bigger. The harsh vocals in the chorus work really well. They work as backing vocals. You can barely hear them. It's really a layer, a really deep layer, but it adds to that explosion, it adds to that volume. So because of that, I felt like they were at the right spot, in the right volume, in the right amount to really ignite the song, to really give the song a push and really help Anette in order to make the song feel a little bit bigger in that chorus. So overall, the song has a lot of energy. The energy is right at the right spots at the right time, always moving. I feel like it's a very dynamic track. You're going to get more harsh vocals down the line in the last third of the song. It works on this track because you had a little bit of those harsh vocals as backing vocals throughout the song. So having the harsh vocals in that last third didn't feel disconnected within the track itself, because there was a sense of you listening to it before. Now they're just moving into the forefront and they're becoming more of an important role. They're playing more of an important role within the track itself. But when you look at this overall song, everything that you're going to get on this track in terms of the dynamic elements, in terms of the tempo, the music, the sound that it has, the different styles of vocals, how Anette drives the song, all of these things become the DNA of the rest of the record. So Bye 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 is a really important song to open up the album, because it gives you a glimpse, it gives you a synopsis of what the rest of the record is going to sound like. So there's not going to be anything afterwards that's going to come as a surprise, because this song kind of gives you everything within itself. Next you have I Need to Stay. I really like the intro. The intro is really extended, is really melancholic. It kind of brings a different mood into the song. It adds almost a little bit of a Disney cinematic vibe into how you intro into the track and then how you transport yourself through it. The vocals jump into the forefront. They really become the driver of the experience. The sound itself, everything is in behind it and really pushing those vocals to become more and more predominant as the song progresses. It's also a song that feels like it's moving, that it's growing, that's morphing as you go from the verses into the chorus. The chorus blows the roof off the building, musically and vocally. Really powerful, really big, really cinematic. I think it becomes even more apparent once you get to that part of the track, how cinematic this song feels and how strong it really is. The harsh vocals in the last third of the track, it copies a little bit of the formula of Bye Bye Bye, but I didn't feel like it worked as well. It didn't hurt the song, but it didn't really add much value to it either. So it's kind of just there. This is a track that Anette's vocals were so powerful, they were so driven throughout the whole track that you almost don't need anything else around it. Let's just do her thing and control the song and be in charge of it. Last but not least, you have Who Can Save Them? A song that has a lot of heaviness. Perhaps of these three is the heaviest one. Definitely has more volume, definitely has more power, it has more strength. It allows you to jump, it allows you to ignite yourself as you're listening to it, because it's a very dynamic track. both vocally and musically. It's just a song that has a lot of movement. It goes up, it comes down, it pauses, it restarts itself. There's just a lot of things happening in this song, and the vocals really enhance those dynamic mechanisms that the track already has built in within its structure and within its soundscape. So a very interesting track in terms of how it's constructed, in terms of how it's put together. Johan's vocals on this song came in differently, not harsh, not clean, a little bit in between, but almost a little bit like a narrator. Glimpses of what a duet could have sounded like on this record. This perhaps is the song that comes as close to a duet as possible. It really left me salivating on what a full-on built-in duet could have sounded like between the two of them. I really think it would work extremely well, and this song kind of left you wondering what that track could have been like. This is it. This is Anette Olzon with Strong, out September 10th on Frontiers Music. Let me know your thoughts on her songs, on her singles, on this album. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.